Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. I'm here with my co-host Q, aka Right on Q. We back in this thing again, and today we're going to be talking about Katie Taylor. And unfortunately, she had a fight scheduled with Amanda Serrano in May. Serrano got injured, so now Katie is without an opponent, and there's some potentials on the table. But before we get into the discussion, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate your feedback. So Q, I'm gonna throw it to you. What you got on this particular topic, man? Katie Taylor don't have a dance partner right now, and she's ready to fight. What do you think needs to happen?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, right? That the fight is not going to be able to happen in May like everybody was anticipating, especially after both fighters got in the ring. After Amanda Serrano was successfully able to unify, the featherweight division and become that division's undisputed queen. But there's the great thing about women's boxing is that these fighters are willing to move up multiple weight classes to make the biggest fights possible. And there's actually some great news that we actually got in a clip, and we actually would love for you guys to stand by so that you guys can check it out real quick. And then we'll be back to give you our response on some rumors that are happening around who Katie could be facing next.
For the first time in Katie Taylor's career, we saw her call out someone, and she called out Chantel Cameron. Many years people, particularly people in boxing, felt, Katie Taylor, Brian Peters, Ross, they'll duck Chantel Cameron. She wants all the smoke. That is a brilliant fight. That is a tougher fight than Amanda Serrano for Katie Taylor. Right, so this is the undisputed at 135 against the undisputed at 140. We're in final negotiations with Katie and Chantel. Both fighters want it, and as we're seeing in boxing at the moment, when two fighters want it, the fight happens. When they don't, generally it doesn't.
All right, guys, so that was a clip right there. Q, I'm going to throw it right back to you for your thoughts, and then I'll kind of give you my reply as well.
Yeah, this is a long anticipated fight, right? Chantel Cameron is a woman who has been on her own path, very similar to Alicia Baumgartner, right? Alicia set out about 2 years ago saying that she wanted to be the undisputed queen at 130. Well, the same thing has been happening across the pond for all of our American fans that don't know. But for our UK fans, they know. Chantel Cameron has really been focused on getting that undisputed crown at 140 pounds. And the reason why ultimately I think that she is going to be the best option under this scenario is because I think that Chantel Cameron is an additional challenge that the UK fans are going to demand the most. While an Alicia Baumgartner fight in the UK is still awesome, it's still a fight that people across the world want to see Katie in. I think that fight is something you save to do when Katie returns to America. I think that the fight to do right now in the UK is Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron, not only because both girls are from the UK, but also because Katie would be moving back up to 140 to try to become a two-time undisputed titleist, something that up to this point has only ever been done by one other woman. And obviously Katie has fought it that way before because she won the WBO title against Christina Lenardatu. Ironically, here's a full circle moment for everybody. The same Christina Lenardatu who gave Alicia Baumgartner her only loss, the same Christina Lenardatu who's now going to be fighting Michaela Mayer at some point this summer. So a lot of great fights happening, but ultimately I want to see this fight happen next. Chantel Cameron versus Katie Taylor this summer, and then we see Alicia Baumgartner chance at a legendary fight against Katie later this year.
Okay, so my obvious preference, and it might be just the American fighter, but there's way more active known women fighters in the
your background back there.
for sure. You know what I'm saying? Kid of a veteran, so you know how I get down. But I'm also aware that majority of the top end of women's boxing are women who are overseas. They're across the pond. We only have like maybe 3 marquee American women, to be honest, that aren't, three black women. And then you've got Amanda Serrano, who's Puerto Rican, which is kind of American.
Denise Estrada too. I would add her in there too.
She's Puerto Rican?
No, she's Hispanic. She's Mexican.
Makes sense. Okay. So yeah, so we have about 5 over here. But if you go down the list for the UK and overseas and you just cross the pond and go to Europe, you could probably name a top 20 easy. You know what I mean? But naturally I would like to see AB in there with Katie because it's a good style matchup. There's the thudding power versus the accumulation power. There's a lot of dynamics, and I feel like Katie's still in her bag. Now, something you brought to my attention before we came on air is that Katie's already 36. So when you start to think about how much longer she's going to do this, if I'm not mistaken, she was an amateur until 2012. So she's been active for roughly 10 years. As a professional, this could be the swan song for her. She's working her way out of the business. So she wants to check all the boxes of all the best fights. Chantel Cameron, Alicia Baumgartner, Amanda Serrano rematch at some point. That being said, I just want to see AB in there with her because I think from a style standpoint, it's a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a girl in Alicia Baumgartner, a woman who, she's really a chameleon because at times she looks like a pure boxer, but then at other times she looks like a power puncher and a pressure fighter, which is kind of the awesome, flexibility that she has to be able to have really two styles that she can rely on at times, depending on who she's fighting. And I think that that's what's going to make this a great matchup if that does happen potentially down the line, because everybody knows that Katie's in and out game is bar none. It's A level. It's as good as anybody's in the game right now. And Katie has shown, especially in that Serrano fight, that she can stand up to any kind of clean shots. There were multiple times where she was hurt and she recovered, which speaks to her conditioning and her stamina. To be able to continue to stay with it, to not lose her shape, not lose her composure. But if we're talking about down the line who we think she fights, I think Katie Taylor realistically has about a year or two left, a full calendar year, maybe another 2 years potentially. And I think the order of fights, if it goes the way that Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, who was in this clip that we just showed, would like it to go, I think ideally they want to do Chantel Cameron this summer. They want to do the Croke Park Stadium fight against Amanda Serrano at some point late summer, September time, because it does start to get cold pretty quickly past September in Ireland. And then potentially have Katie come back early next year to potentially fight Alicia Baumgartner. And maybe that's a fight where Alicia gets that crowning moment to be that headlining event in the big arena, Madison Square Garden. And that'll be at a time where she will have already continued to build her own star power here in the States, where, it'll be a big show that everybody's willing to see.
Yeah, from a passing the torch standpoint, I could see that being like a seminal moment. You see the torch being handed off from Katie to Alicia, because I think at that point, there is a potential. I think there's potential for either one of them to win. But at that point, you figure after Cameron, after Serrano, and then eventually ending up with AB, and we know that this is the farewell fight, there's a good chance that AB wins that fight, and now you get to see the torch pass in the ring, as we typically like to see it as sports fans. We want to see the best take the previous best out, be the man or woman to beat the woman. You know what I mean? So I guess that path makes sense. It's just the selfish part of me. I feel like AB's confidence is at a high right now, and this is, I think, the peak of her marketing. And this is the peak for her to get the very best fights, outside of if Katie just decides, I want you to be my swan song next year. Let's go ahead and negotiate now. And as long as everything stays on track, we're going to meet up sometime in 2024 before I retire. So I wouldn't necessarily be mad at it. It wouldn't be my choice of path, but just the way that you laid it out does make sense. Guys, would love to get your perspective on this particular topic. Are you watching women's boxing? And what do you think about what's next for Katie Taylor? Yeah, because it's a lot of great fights, and they're starting to put more and more on these men's cards. Showtime needs to catch up. But
hey,
if you watch Top Rank,
I'm glad you said it, because I was going to.
Yeah, if you watch The Zone, if you watch ESPN and the Top Rank cards, you're seeing a lot of women boxers. You're going to be able to get really familiar with who's out there, who's making noise, who's coming up. You got your Ebony Bridges. You still got your Jessica McCaskill. There's more to women's boxing besides Clarissa Shields. So be on the lookout at Showtime. We need you to sign some women and get them in the ring so y'all could beef up that subscription. You dig? But guys, leave your comments. This has been the Mic Check Podcast. This is T. That's Q. Until the next time, we're out of here.